Hey everyone, today I am going to walk you through how the healthcare system in Germany works. Don't worry, I'll keep it simple. So, first, a quick question: who actually came up with this idea of public healthcare? It goes all the way back to 1883 when Otto von Bismarck introduced it. That's over 140 years ago, and interestingly, a lot of his ideas are still used today. For example, health insurance is mandatory, so basically everyone has to be insured, and it's paid by both employees and employers who share the cost. Now, let's talk about the different types of health insurance in Germany. There are four main ones: public insurance, also called as JKV, private insurance or PKV, incoming insurance, and many supplementary insurance. Sounds like a lot, but it's actually pretty straightforward. So, starting with public insurance, this is what most people use. About 90% of people in Germany are on this system. It's government regulated, which means it's standardized and designed to make sure everyone gets access to healthcare. Then there is the private insurance. This is offered by private companies and it's a bit more flexible. Some people choose it for long term use, while others, like expats, might use it for short term, especially if they are staying in Germany for less than 5 years. Next is the incoming health insurance. This one is mainly for visitors, like tourists, students, or people applying for visas. It covers emergency medical situations during a short stay and it's usually required for a Schengen visa. There's also a minimum coverage requirement, which is typically at least 30,000 euros. And finally, supplementary insurance. This is kind of like extra coverage. There are lots of types like dental insurance, hospital add ons, or travel health insurance. So, what all documents do you need to apply? No matter which insurance you are applying for, you will typically need your passport, visa, or the residence permit available, a passport style photo for the electronic health card, city registration, the Anmeldung, a German bank account with IBAN, details of your previous health insurance coverage if applicable, because your health insurance number usually doesn't change. Additional documents usually are: if you are a student, you will also need a university admission letter. If you are an employee, usually you don't need any additional document. You only need to inform your employer that your health insurance provider will contact them. And also, if you want to include your spouse or children, the registration certificates in Germany from your partner and children. That is the Meldebescheinigung, the passports of your partner and children, any visa or residence permits of your partner and children if they are non European citizens, your marriage certificate, the birth certificates of your children, and the pictures of your dependents for their health insurance card if they are older than 15 years. Alright, so now we know the different types of health insurances. But the big question is, how do you actually register for one? Well, it mostly depends on why you are in Germany. Are you here as a student or are you working? Let's start with students. As a student, you usually have a choice between public insurance JKV and private insurance PKV. If you go with public insurance, there are three main ways to register. Option 1 is through service providers like Expatrio or Findiba. This is super common, especially if you already used them for your blogged account. They basically bundle everything together, including insurance. Option 2, you can apply directly online with a public insurance provider. You choose a company, fill out a form, upload your documents, and that's it. Option 3, which is the most recommended option, is through your university. Many universities work closely with specific insurers, so you just submit your documents and they handle the process for you. This is usually the easiest option. If you are eligible for private insurance, the process is simpler. You just choose a provider, apply online, upload your documents, and wait for confirmation. Now, if you are an employee, the process is pretty straightforward. You can simply apply directly online with your chosen insurance provider, the same idea, fill in the form, upload documents, and you are done. Now, you might be wondering, once you choose an insurance provider, are you stuck with it forever? The short answer is no, you can switch. And the process is actually quite simple. Step 1, find a new insurance provider. There are around 100 public insurers in Germany, so you have plenty of options. Step 2. Register with the new provider. This usually takes just a couple of minutes online. Step 3. Your new insurer cancels your old one for you, so you don't have to worry about that and you stay continuously insured. Step 4. Inform your employer or university about the change. There are just two important rules that you must keep in mind when switching. Notice period. Usually it's 2 months to the end of the month. And the commitment period. Typically it's 1 year before you can switch again. Alright, now that we understand the basics, let's take a closer look at the two main options, GKV and PKV, and how to decide between them. So, let's start with the statutory health insurance, which is the default health insurance coverage for most residents in Germany. It is regulated by the federal government and operates under a standardized legal framework to ensure broad access of healthcare to everyone. So, basically, GKV is income based and solidarity driven. That means income based contributions. The amount you pay depends on your income. Students pay less, employees pay more, and high earners pay the most, but only up to a certain income ceiling. Health independent pricing. Your personal health condition does not affect your contribution. Whether you are healthy or have a medical history, the cost remains the same. Pay as you go system. The insurance company pays medical expenses first and relies on contributions from active members to fund these costs. It's a backward system basically. Common fund and premium adjustments. All the contributions from the members go into a shared fund, and this finances the healthcare of everyone in the system. And if the contributions are not enough to cover medical costs, insurers may raise premiums. Now, demographic balance. The ratio of the younger working members to older retired members affects the overall cost. A higher proportion of retirees relatively increases expenses and can impact fund stability. Now, there are around 100 JKV providers known as Krankenkassen. Some of the largest and most well known include Techniker Krankenkasse, TK, AOK, Barmer, and HKK. Among these, TK is the largest provider based on the number of insured members. It is also popular among expats because it offers English language support, including an English website, mobile app, and customer service. You can compare these on any other public provider. Just keep one key point in mind. The core medical coverage is very similar across all the public insurers because it is standardized and regulated by German law. The differences are usually in customer service, digital tools, and small additional benefits, not in the fundamental medical coverage. So, what are the general medical coverage which is included in the public health insurance? Outpatient doctor visits, hospital treatments, surgeries if needed, pregnancy and childbirth, mental health therapy, some prescription medications, basic dental care, preventive checkups, and vaccinations recommended by Standard Committee on Vaccination. Services which are not covered include cosmetic procedures such as plastic surgery or laser eye surgery, advanced dental care such as high quality fillings and dental implants, adult medical glasses typically covered only for children, private hospital rooms, alternative medicine such as homeopathy, osteopathy, or naturopathy, which are often only partially covered, if at all, and travel vaccinations. These are not recommended by the Standing Committee on Vaccinations. So let's start with the different types of public health insurance systems. The first one is the standard or full JKV. This is for employees and workers and they pay it as part of their social security contributions. The total health insurance premium is generally in between 19.4% to 23.2% of the gross monthly salary. The premium is shared between the employee and the employer, almost generally 50-50. Now, the second one is the compulsory statutory student rate. Students under certain conditions are benefited from a discounted tariff for statutory health insurance, which is also called as the compulsory statutory student rate. Roughly speaking, if you are under 30 years old and is enrolled in a state recognized university, you are entitled to the discounted statutory health insurance. The total health insurance premium is around 15.7 to 17.3% from the current PAFOC rate. Now, the third one is the voluntary statutory insurance. This means with this insurance, you chose to stay in the JKV system even though the law no longer requires you to be in it. It is same as JKV, but it's a membership by choice rather than obligation. The typical groups include employees with very high income above the compulsory threshold, that is €77,400 annual gross income in 2026, self-employed people and freelancers, civil servants beyond who chose public insurance, students after compulsory health insurance ends, usually after age 30, people leaving family insurance or compulsory insurance who want to remain in the public system. Note, for eligible students, this voluntary statutory insurance cost around €286 per month in 2026. For employees and workers with their own income, the contribution calculation is more complex and it is explained in the employee health insurance system. Now, we have the family insurance. Family health insurance allows certain family members to be insured free under a person's statutory health insurance, provided they meet specific requirements. Who all can be insured? The spouses or registered life partners who meet their eligibility conditions, children who are up to the age 18 or up to the age of 23 if the child is not employed, or up to the age of 25 if the child is studying or in vocational training. Note, this also applies to adopted children, foster children, stepchildren, and sometimes grandchildren if the insured person mainly supports them. Also, if the education or training is interrupted by military service, voluntary service, or development service, the coverage can be extended by up to 12 months. Children who cannot support themselves due to disability can also remain insured without any age limit. Now, requirements for the free family health insurance. These are the following conditions that must be met to qualify for a free family health insurance. First, they must be living in Germany and they must not be full-time self-employed. They must not be exempt from statutory health insurance, and certain professional groups such as civil servants, judges, soldiers, or clergy cannot be included. Their regular monthly income must not exceed €565, that is the limit in 2026, and if the person works a mini job, then the income must not exceed €603 per month as per 2026. Why are there two income limits for the dependents? This is majorly based on the difference between the part-time and mini job category in Germany. The €565 per month applies to most type of incomes such as the part-time, rental income, assets or investments. The €603 per month applies if the income comes from a mini job, because mini job follows special labor rules and is linked to the statutory minimum wage, which is why the income limit is slightly higher. This income includes salary from employment, severance payments, internship payment, and also income from capital assets and rentals. While financial support for education and training, the BAföG for students is not classed as income and does not affect the family insurance. Tip: the income limit 565 or €603 may be exceeded temporarily up to 2 times in a year without losing the eligibility for family insurance. Furthermore, if a job or any job is performed for less than 3 months, the income is irrelevant and it does not affect family insurance. These limits apply only for 2026 and are subject to change in future years. So, let's start with the advantages of JKV. It's not a risk-based system and the price does not depend on your health condition, neither now nor in the future. It only depends on your income. It provides long-term stability, and if your income drops, your contribution also drops. You don't need to sign a contract or renew it periodically. Your bills are paid directly through the provider, and therefore you don't have to worry about reimbursements, deductibles, or paperwork most of the time. GKV in Germany is generally very family friendly. Your spouse and children under certain conditions can be covered under your insurance with no extra cost. All insured members receive the same medical benefits regardless of how much they pay in premiums. The downsides generally are unlike PKV, JKV provides a standard set of basic services and cannot be customized. For example, dental coverage is limited to basic care. To cover additional dental treatments, you need to purchase a supplementary dental insurance. Even though it is affordable for students and lower income earners, it can become expensive for high earners because contribution increases with income and up to a legal ceiling. Also, compared to some expat private student plans, GKV is more expensive even with the discounted rate for students. Now we check into the private health insurance, which is the PKV. As the name suggests, private companies offer private health insurance. The German government regulates in private insurers. However, they don't have as much control as they do in the public health insurance. PKV is not a income based like the public system, it is age and risk based. That means your monthly premium depends on three main factors: your age, your health condition, and the specific plan and benefits you choose, known as tariff. When you apply, you usually go through a health questionnaire because pre existing conditions matter here. Your medical history matters, and based on that, the insurer calculates your premium. You sign an individual contract and typically with a minimum duration of 1 year. So, unlike JKV, there is no standardized coverage package. With PKV, what is covered and what is not is entirely depending on your tariff, the specific plan you select. Of course, all private insurers cover the essential medical care like doctor visits, hospital treatments, surgeries, and other medical necessary procedures. But beyond that, the differences can be very significant. If you choose a basic low cost plan, the coverage may actually be more limited than JKV. If you choose a premium plan and are willing to pay more, you can receive benefits such as faster specialist appointments, treatment by the chief physician, a single private hospital room, more comprehensive dental reimbursement. So, PKV is highly customizable but also highly variable. Generally, there are two kinds of PKVs: the long term PKV, also known as the full PKV, and the expat PKV. So, what is the long term PKV? It is designed generally for the permanent residents in Germany and those are willing to stay longer than 5 years. There is no fixed time limit and it can last for a lifetime. The insurer builds age reserves, retirement provisions. These reserves help keep premiums more stable in old age. It is suitable for people who qualify permanently, example high earners, self-employed or civil servants. Their premium for long-term PKV depends mainly on your tariff, your age and your health at the time you sign the contract. So, the coverage level. You choose the benefits included in your plan. The basic coverage is cheaper while comprehensive plans with additional services like example higher hospital comfort, dental benefits, etc. cost more. The age you enter also matter here. The younger you are, the lower your starting premium tends to be. Private insurers calculate long-term risk, so early entry usually results in more stable contributions over time. The health status. Before accepting you, the insurers access your medical history. Pre-existing conditions can lead to risk surges or exclusions. Healthier applicants typically receive lower premiums. PKV premiums vary significantly depending on the coverage and individual risk profile. Based on 2025 to 2026 data, the following ranges are the commonly observed ones. For children who are insured via parents, it's approximately 100 to 200 euros per month. For young employees, starting around 250 to 350 euro per month, it's the net cost after deducting the employer's contribution. Around the age of 35, who is an employee, commonly pay 300 to 450 euro per month, which is the net cost after deducting the employer's contribution. For self-employed employees, it's typically higher, that is 500 to 800 plus euro per month, and there is no employer contribution. For civil servants, The cost depend on the level of state subsidy by Hilfe. With 50% of subsidy, it costs between €325 and €440 per month. And with a 70% subsidy, it costs between €256 and €330 per month. People who are unemployed or not working, premiums do not depend on the income, and therefore you must have to pay €350 per month depending on the age, health, and your tariff. Note: for employees, it is important to note that the employer contributes up to a legally defined maximum amount. In 2026, this cap is around €613 per month, health plus long term combined. If your private premium exceeds this limit, you pay the difference yourself. Also, PKV premiums typically increase over time. Between 2015 and 2025, premiums rose about 3.9% per year, and between 2006 and 2026, it's around 3.4% annually. For example, if a 35-year-old pays €800 per month in 2025, the premium could exceed €2,000 by age 65 and may surpass €3,000 by age 85, assuming similar long-term growth. While GKV has also increased over time, but historically at a lower average rate. Furthermore, GKV contributions are income-based, meaning high earners pay more during their working life and usually pay less amount during retirement depending on retirement income. When choosing a long-term PKV, it is worth comparing established providers such as Allianz, LVM, and Signal Iduna. These companies are among the well-known and financially stable insurers in Germany and offer a wide range of PKV tariffs. Now, next one is the expat PKV. This is designed generally for the temporary stayers, like who comes on visa, short-term work, transition periods. This is limited to maximum of 5 years in total duration. It is often cheaper, that is around €45 per month, because the insurer is not build long-term age reserves like full PKV. It ends after the contract term, which is minimum 1 year and up to 5 years. It is best suited for international students, researchers, job seekers who are eligible for PKV. The main providers include Mavista, Dr. Walter, Feather, and Care Concept for affordable and reputable expat PKV options. Now, what are the pros of having a PKV health insurance? First, the cost advantage when young and healthy or for temporary stays. Long-term PKV can be more affordable at a young age, especially with a basic tariff. Furthermore, the expat PKV is significantly cheaper than long-term PKV or student JKV for expat students, researchers, or job seekers who are eligible. Second, high flexibility. You can choose the level of coverage you prefer. Premium plans offer enhanced services and comfort beyond standard JKV benefits. Tax advantages. PKV contributions are generally tax deductible in Germany as special expenses, which can reduce your taxable income. Now, what do you expect for the cons? First one is the risk-based pricing. It all depends on your health status. Pre-existing conditions can often lead to higher cost or surcharges, and certain treatments may be affected. Age-related increase. Contributions tend to increase over time. So historically, PKV increased on average more than JKV. Third, there is no free family coverage. Each family member need to be insured separately. Dependents are not insured free of charge, and which makes PKV very expensive for families. And fourth point, it is very difficult to switch back. Returning to public insurance later can be challenging, particularly after a certain age. So the system is not designed for frequent switching. Alright, now this is the most important part. What do you choose? Do you go for a public health insurance or a private health insurance? This is generally a confusion for the group of people who are eligible for both public and private health insurance. If you're only eligible for a public health insurance, for example, an employee with annual salary less than €77,400 as per 2026 limit, you have no other choice. You go with a public health insurer. On the other hand, if you are only eligible for a private health insurance, For example, a language student, you choose a long term or expat PKV provider and register. Now, this part is where you are confused or you are eligible for both and you are confused about taking one. For example, an employee with an annual salary of more than 77,400 euro as per 2026 limit. This will go down to majorly three factors or three main questions. First, do you have any pre existing health conditions? Private health insurers are free to assess applicants individually. So, as a result, they may decline your coverage or apply higher premiums depending on medical history and risk evaluation. Obtaining affordable PKV can be more difficult if you have one or more of the following conditions: high blood pressure, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, asthma, severe allergies, back problems, spinal disorders, physical or mental conditions. So, in this case, JKV or the public health insurance is the better option. Second, are you planning to start a family in the future? PKV does not provide free coverage for family members, and a non working spouse and children must each have their own separate contracts. In contrast, JKV includes non working spouses and children at no additional cost under family insurance rules. Another important difference concerns parental leave. With private insurance, you must continue paying your full premium during parental leave. In the public system, contributions typically adjust to your reduced income, and in some cases, family insurance may cover you depending on the situation. For this reason, JKV or the public health insurance system is more financially advantageous for families, especially when there is a single income earner. So, here too, in this scenario, the public health insurance system is more stable and more preferable. Third question is, do you want the highest level of medical coverage available? PKV is not the right choice for everyone. However, it can provide access to very comprehensive medical services in Germany depending on the selected tariff, such as high level private tariffs, which cover often specialist treatments, access to private clinics, etc. Secondly, privately insured patients typically receive specialist appointments much faster. Private tariffs also include more extensive dental benefits. In the public system, only basic dental systems are covered. So here, PKV is your best bet. Note: switching back to JKV is only possible under special or specific conditions. You must earn below the income threshold and be under 55 years old. Outside of these limits, returning to JKV is generally very difficult. Ultimately, switching to PKV is a significant decision, and it is recommended to consult a qualified insurance advisor or broker before making a final choice. So, I hope you got a real comprehensive idea about the insurance systems and which is a suitable option for you. We will see you in the next video.